Alright YouTube, let's get back to another video. This time on the Utilitac 2 from Ontaio Knife Company. Joe Pardue was the designer. And so the first thing I did when I heard of this knife, I went back, because I'm thinking Ontaio Knife Company, you know, what's that all about? In my mind, I remember, oh yeah, the rat, that's what came to mind, which is a very popular, kind of a classic knife, so to speak. And anyway, so that's where I heard Ontario from. Although Ontaio Knife Company is not probably one of the most popular manufacturers of knives out there, but don't let that fool you. It turns out Ontario's been in the game for a while, and they've got a history of turning out some very good stuff. Very good company. So when I pulled this out of the box, some things to notice. The first thing to really take note of is that it is a 4-position pocket clip. Pocket clip is pretty rigid, pretty sturdy. It is 4-position mounted however you like. It's not deep carry, but that's like I said, it is very very sturdy, very easy to get into your pocket. I like the shape of it. It's also it works well with a belt. So that's something to keep in mind. And there's 2 different handle models available I remember seeing for this knife. I kind of like the smoother finish one, so you might run across a knife that looks very similar but a little bit different. They do have different handle designs available for it. It also came with the lanyard, so if you're wondering where that came, it actually came with the knife, which I thought was a nice touch. I personally haven't bought a knife with a lanyard attached before, and so I don't know how common that really is. I'm guessing it's not very common, but that was a nice touch to include it with the knife. But yeah, I pulled it out of the package and gave it the quick inspection. Blade is perfectly dead on center. Fit and finish is just really good, really beefy. The thumb stud has these aggressive ridges on it, kind of in a conical pyramid style. That lends itself to getting a hold of it pretty well. And if you'll notice right there, I didn't have to use any wrist flick on that to get it open. Yet, this does have a very strong detent to hold that. I mean, the detent is pretty powerful. So chances are against that thing coming open accidentally. And despite it not being a spring-assisted knife, it really, even if you prefer spring-assisted, this doesn't need to be, because a lot of times if a knife does not have a flipper, I look for spring assisted, because typically I've found that non-assisted knives, exactly that reason, you've got to come and you've got to give that thing some flick to get it open. Not with this one. This thing is smooth enough to, and despite how smooth it is, there is no play in that blade at all. But yet it has that well of balance that you can get that going without any wrist flick and just pop it open with your thumb. That to me is just, it just screams of good, well design. And so the blade, speaking of the blade and how beefy it is, I already mentioned that. Just a great shape. The thing is, I mean, that just looks mean as heck. That is one nice shape. On this side you have the emblem Utilitac 2. What this caption is, you probably can't read it, but what this caption says under there is collector's first production run, and that's what the little caption is under the logo. Now, on the other side of the blade, the designer's logo, Joe Pardue, is stamped in there, and you'll also notice that the steel, I don't know if you can read that, but it's Taiwan made. This is not a China blade. It's AUS 8A made in Taiwan, which is different. It seems like for this price range of knife. In these days. So that's something else that's different about it. The knife on top has some very aggressive jimping. I can only assume that where he was going with the Utilitac name on the knife is, it's very utility oriented, and obviously there's going to be times you're not going to be in perfect conditions. Your hands are going to be covered in oil, water, mud, dirt, and so it's good to see that the jimping here it goes all the way across, frame and handles, and extends into the blade, the top part of the blade where the slope begins. Okay, so that's jimped all the way across there, and you know it's aggressive. There's some deep jimping going on there that, you know, just really makes this feel like it's intended for utility use. And speaking of jimping, one of my biggest problems with liner lock knives is that they're very difficult to get it. Sometimes, not always, but they're very difficult to get at the liner lock and engage it. But again, on this model, not only did they leave extra material there to make it, you know, present itself a little bit easier, but added jimping into the liner lock, which creates kind of an edge there that you know, makes it just really easy to get in there and close that up. Again, look how smooth that is. Look how nice that locks up. No play at all. You close that. Blade is perfectly centered. This just screams of a knife that you are going to have for a while. I mean, you know, this is going to last you a while. Very good feel to it, very well balanced. Just, you know, again, I've got a large size glove hand, and that's, you know, how it fits me. You can see my finger fits right into that choil, right over the where the liner lock engages. And yeah, this is a very nice knife. So anyway, I think I covered most of the important features of it, and that's the Utilitac 2 by Ontario Knife Company.